What's up, YouTube? Deadrock here. Today we're going to be going over Dark Neostorm. I'm going to talk about, first off, prices, whether it's a good, good set to invest in, what cards are notable and whatnot, and then how it affects the meta and shifts the meta in different ways, whether adding new decks or giving power to new decks or old decks. So we'll get into that. First off, Spooky Dogwood is $60. We're gonna go over all the secrets. So Spooky Dogwood is $60. This is the new Ghost Girl hand trap. She's all right at best, I think. When she was announced for the OCG and released in the OCG, I didn't really think it was that great. Yeah, I guess it helps against combo decks, but like, I don't know. I don't think she's that great. Gaining life points is all right. It's a good card in time, I guess. Maybe throw it in the side deck at most. I don't see it ever really being super staple, though, honestly. It's also going to be that collector's card, though. You're trying to collect all the Ghost Girls. That's fair. It has that collectability and a slight playability. It could become good depending on like a format. Like, this would be pretty interesting in like a Goki format. You would just gain like a crazy amount of life points. But right now, it's lackluster, and I think she'll go down to be about like $40. So yeah, that's one I would definitely get rid of right now. No material. This is another card. I think this is a little bit lackluster right now as well. A lot of people are hyping this up. I actually did do a whole video based on this card, my thoughts and whether if it's just hype or it's actually good. I do think this card could be good depending on the format, long story short. I do see it dropping right away. I see it being like 40 to 50. I feel like this has a better chance of maintaining value than Spooky Dogwood, though. And that's just because, like, I feel like it could be really, really good based on the format. Like, Zoo format, this card would have been absolutely amazing. But yeah, I definitely see a slight drop coming in. These are all still sneak prices, pre-release prices, pre-order prices. All right, Cherubini. So Cherubini is a really good card. A lot of people have been waiting for this card for a long time, though it helps Burning Abyss. I don't really see it like making Burning Abyss like really good or really meta or super relevant. It definitely helps with that deck, and it's a rogue option because Burning Abyss is just in general decent. But like I don't think that it's gonna do too much. I could see this probably won't go down too much, at most $40-$45 card, but right now it's around 50 mark. I don't see this being really too high until Burning Abyss, like something else helps that deck and just is like making it super viable, super playable, and then this card will be expensive. But as of right now, I don't see it going anywhere too crazy. Now Cyanide Mining is only $40. This one's surprising. I know on Sneak it was like a lot. I sold mine for I think $80 on Sneak. So it was a lot of money on Sneak. And in pre-orders. As it kind of came out, I think that it's not short printed. Debug got hit, which actually did drop this card a little bit. Like this and Debug would have made that deck absolutely insane. But it being hit to 1. But the funny thing is, you might have thought that might make the card rise in price. I think it did at first. Because you kind of require this card for the deck of Salamand Greats for it to be really consistent. But like, I think it's just not short print. I think only a few decks are using it. I think Orcus may use it as well, though. But yeah, I think that it's too specific. It's a good card in general. I don't see it going up, but I also could just see it really maintaining this price. I don't see it really going down more than this. If it gets to 30, I'd be really surprised. I think at the lowest this will drop to is 35 for a while until after Nats. And as Nats it comes closer, it might, as the format kind of shifts and becomes more resolved, people kind of understand the format, figure out the format. This may go up and may go down, but I don't see it going down too much lower than 40. Honestly, 35 at lowest, maybe 30. I'd still be surprised to get it at 30. I think it's a good card to pick up for $30 for a secret. Next one is Crusadia Avramax. Honestly, it's a good card in general. It's a good card to have. It's about $30 right now, and this is another one I probably would say is gonna stay around $25. So realistically, it's a pretty good secret to pull. The next one is the Ami Dragon Brotar. I think it's called. It's like $15. This is the worst secret in the set, in my opinion. It's definitely the worst one to pull. The one that doesn't really have that much potential to be super good. I think obviously some people say it's a pretty decent card. I haven't really looked into it that much, so I have a slight bias towards it. But I don't think it's going to be that great, and I don't think it's going to even maintain the $15 mark. This is going to go down to like the lowest secret, probably $10, $5. I don't see it really being going up. Now Italy is about $25 right now. I think it's probably just gonna stay around $20. It's a good card to have, a decent secret in the set, but $20 isn't too bad. And then Ib is about $20 right now. Miko, I think that's the World Chalice Synchro. Now, this is a card that actually could go up in future formats, in my opinion, depending on where World Chalice goes. I'm not sure if they're done with World Chalice now or not. I think it's going to keep going on throughout reigns. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a card that it could really go anywhere. I think that it's a really good card. It's a generic synchro, and it could just do a lot in the format. But I think right now it's probably going to sit around the $15 mark once it comes out. And until a format comes along that you really need this card, it's going to stay around that mark. But this card is a good card to pick up. It's definitely one I want to invest in. Let's talk about the ultras. The ultras in this set are trash, awful. We have one really good ultra, which is Dingrisu, which is sitting around $30, which makes sense. Orcus is a very hype deck. It is going to be a top tier deck, and this is something you absolutely need for the deck. I think this ultra will probably stick around $20. Well, it'll go down a bit, but leading up to Nats, it may just stick around 20, 25, may go down to 15. It's really hard to judge with these prices on how well the deck's gonna go. The format we got is a lot different than anything in the OCG, so it's hard for us to see. Obviously we had Summon Stork ban, which is similar to the OCG, but like Kagari going to 1 with 3 engage and 3 Widow honestly kind of make this iffy, because before Kagari went to 1, it was like 2 engage, 2 Widow, and the deck was still doing things. So it's kind of weird to see how it is gonna really shape up. With Thunder Dragon, Danger still also gonna be a pretty big deck. Not having the Danger monsters in the OCG really changes up that format for them too. So I think that this format is really dependent. So it's really hard to see how these cards are going to pan out, see how good Orcus is. If Orcus turns out to be one of the best decks to play right now, I could see this maintaining $25 easy, $30 easy, but right now I think it is going to drop probably upon initial release. We also have to see what case ratios are. I think some people have already been opening cases, but I'm not 100% sure there. And then the only other notable link I even want to talk about is the Mermail link. Not links, Ultra. It's only $3, but that's the only really notable one. All the other ultras are kind of meh. I don't really care about. All right, so now there are actually better supers in this set than there are ultras. It's sad to say, but first off, we want to talk about Mystic Mine. It's sitting around $13 right now, which is absolutely insane. It was bought out and put the 20 off on CCG player. I don't think that this card is going to maintain a $20 value, but I could definitely I could see it staying $10. Well, we're gonna get into Mystic Mine Burn in a second, but I think that this card's actually insane, and there's a good amount of decks that can actually play it. So I could see this staying around a $10 super on release, and just staying that way till after Nats, which is insane. A super being that this price is actually crazy to see, because you're guaranteed a super in every pack, but it's really cool. But it's a degen card, unfortunately, but it is just that powerful. And then Crackdown's another notable super, and that's we're sitting around $6. I do see this actually just staying, and once the set stops being printed, it's probably going to go up. It's a really good card. It's Snatch Steal, but a trap, pretty much. So there's that. And then the other notable super I want to talk about is Orcus Trap. It's the counter trap. It helps that deck. All right, so now let's talk about the new decks of the format and stuff that's going to be good. So first off, Orcus. Orcus gets the Dingrisu and their trap. I think they might get a few other things. I'm not sure if they're playing Italy or not. I'm not sure how that really works. But the deck is a really good deck. Even with some sorcerers being hit, and us not having access to other cards, it is still a very, very viable and solid deck. if you guys don't know what it does, it is pretty similar to Salamander Great. Actually, they're able to search out some traps. They're able to search out their counter traps to have a Omni negate anywhere. And then their XYZ is actually super good. Being able to special summon to send cards from your field. When it's special summoned, it can send a card from your field to the graveyard, and it just sends, doesn't target. Super good card. So you know it does have some interruption there. Then it also has, it's almost like a Bailings while it's on the field. If a card would be destroyed, an Orcus card would be destroyed by card effect or by battle, you can detach an XYZ material from this card instead, which is super good. And then, you know, it's really good in general. It's very easy to make. You can link it over, you can overlay it over a Link monster and a Link Orcus monster. It's very easy for them to bring out, so it has some good protection. But it's pretty much like a Salamander Great combo style deck that, you know, it kind of does a little bit more. It brings it a bigger board, brings it some bigger beaters, bigger monsters. It does a little bit more than that that deck does. But it does, you know, they both have their ups and downs, honestly. They're both really viable options, but it's very similar to Salamander Great in my opinion. But yeah. Next one we're going to talk about is the Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine burn. I'm not going to put what my notes is. I hate this deck. This deck is stupid. I'm not really going to be salty if I play it. I don't hate it as much as a lot of players make it out to be that big of a deal. I think that this deck has a lot of really good matchups though. Like it's like, against Orcus or any combo deck, you can burn them OTK so easily, and there's absolutely nothing they can do about it because they can't activate monster effects or attack. Mystic Mine is actually like just busted as a card, especially like because of the options. I see where Konami tried to go with this card. They just didn't think enough about what other cards we have in the game to like really help this. One thing is like really not good for the game is Ojama Trio, and this is really rough. Giving your opponent 3 tokens, and if you're having Mystic Mine, you know, they also didn't think that like, I feel like if they should have probably put a minimum of 1 monster you have to control for its effect to be active. It's kind of similar in the way to how Kaiser Coliseum was, because this card is literally like Kaiser Coliseum but like on steroids in my opinion. Even though it has the clause where you can just end your turn and be like, well, we control no monsters, then it pops. But like there's so many ways that they can out that, you know, giving you tokens is just one way with the Ojama Trio and stuff like that. The deck's unfair, and it is something that I think you need to side for, something you have to look out for and know how to beat, because there's definitely decent and easy ways to beat this deck. It's not a tier 0 or anything like that, but I do think I would consider it a tier 1 deck, which is scary to think that a burn stall could be super good. Pretty much that's all they do. They use Mystic Mine, control no monsters most of the time. At most they have a Lilith on field that's 1,000 attack, and they just tribute it to get a trap anyway. But yeah, this deck is super degen, and they just burn you with burn cards. It's not fun. I don't think it's really fun for them. I don't think it's really fun for you. So I'm not sure, but there definitely are going to be players playing this deck, because they don't like. You don't really take much thought process. You know, there's a lot less that can go wrong. And I think a lot of players will actually like to, you know, go towards these decks more, because like when they lose, it's not really their own fault, so they can't really blame themselves. So it's almost like a crutch in a way, why some players will like go to these type of decks and stuff like that. I'm not trying to hate on anyone who plays them. I'm just giving my opinion. Someone like myself, I just wouldn't really want to ever play a deck like this, because you don't really ever feel like accomplished or like, you know, satisfied with getting a win. In my opinion, it's just like, okay, cool, I burned you to death, like I'm so good. I don't feel like that ever, especially with a card like Mystic Mine that literally just says, no, you don't get to play Yu-Gi-Oh, because I don't play. It's stupid. All right, enough about that deck. The last thing to talk about is Altergeist and Crackdown. So Crackdown was one of the cards I was talking about. Now, this card actually helps Altergeist a lot, in my opinion. We might see a little bit a resurrection of Altergeist. As you guys would know, they kind of stopped doing anything too relevant in the meta, and even after they got Extravagance, they just did nothing. It was kind of weird to see, but like, you know, there was just other decks like Salads and like other decks were just way faster than it, and that's what really hurt that deck. Now, Crackdown is a card that helps that deck so much because it's a trap that is able to steal opponent opponent's monsters. Like, they can still attack with those monsters. They can get better damage output. They can make big link monsters. They can do so much more with it. So I definitely think that Altergeist is something that should be on your mind, something that's there in the background, because this card actually does help out the deck quite a bit as long as they're playing it. But yeah. So that's my opinion on Dark Neostorm. That's how the game's changing up. I may have missed a few things. I have been kind of in a rush. I'm like I said, I'm trying to do a lot of regional prepping. I'm trying to do a lot of studying on what my format's going to be like and stuff like that, especially um post Dark Neostorm. One thing I forgot to mention is like Mystic Mind can be played in like multiple decks. I think even some Altergeist are playing it. Sky Strikers are playing it. A lot of anti-meta stuff can also play it. So it's definitely, that's something you need to side for. Make sure you have spell and trap roll removal. I'm not saying that that's a reason for this card to be allowed in the game, but you know, if you're gonna go to a big event, be prepared for it. You know, I don't want to get into that whole argument. Is Mystic Mind good or bad for the game? In long story short, degen decks are never really good for the game, but you know, it's just the way it is. Be prepared. Run Cosmic Cyclones, run Twin Twisters, MSTs, anything you really want. Heavy Storm Duster is a really good one this format, in my opinion, as well. So definitely do that, guys. Anyway, please comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. But yeah, I definitely think that this set is good to invest in. All the secrets are pretty high priced. There's not like a lot of bad secrets. So like, I definitely think it's a good format, definitely a good set. If you're buying a large quantity, like a case, I think there's a very good chance you can plus, especially if you get a deal on that case. But yeah, anyways, guys, that is all. Later.